One hit, one hit. Yeah, that's all the Yankees got against the Orioles on Wednesday, and Max Fried left with an elbow injury. We're going to talk about that and more on an all-new Locked On Yankees.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Stacey Gotsulias. He's Brian McKeon. This is Locked On Yankees. And it's not going to be a fun one. We're warning you right now. Coming up, we're going to preview the Subway Series. It's coming up this weekend after the off day on Thursday. So we're going to look at the pitching matchups, some interesting ones in there. So we're going to talk about that in segment 3. Why is it that Aaron Boone-led Yankee teams seem to just give up at the littlest bit of adversity? We're going to talk about that because it's a pattern and it's not a good one. But first, the Yankees, instead of taking advantage of winning the middle game of a 3-game set in Baltimore and, riding momentum, come out flatter than I was in 7th grade. I don't understand what is going on with this team.
It is remarkable how a team with this much talent could look this pathetic in certain games. And they didn't necessarily look that pathetic in game 2 of the series against Baltimore. But we came into this series stating something obvious, Stacey. They should beat this team. They're better than Baltimore. They're far better than Baltimore. And then you win game 2 of the series and your mind can immediately shift to, oh, they can win this series and get out of town with a series victory. And you have your best pitcher on the roster right now available in this game to come in, dominate, get the victory, and get out of town. Wednesday went as poor for the New York Yankees as it possibly, you couldn't imagine a worse day for the New York Yankees. It's that bad. They look completely and utterly lifeless in this game. They're not prepared to play. There's zero compete, zero fight. They go down early in the game and just decide, all right, this one's a loss. That's a getaway day. Let's just get out of here. Not a care in the world. You get one hit by a pitcher with a nearly 6 ERA on the season, Stacey, who, by the way, 2 weeks ago, you put up a 5 spot on.
Yeah.
I can't comprehend this at all. And then you get some of the worst injury news possibly. This is just terrible.
Yeah. So there's not much to talk about when it comes to this game. Like, everything is revolving around Max Fried and his elbow. But the offense, yes, Jazz Chisholm hit a double. That was it. That was all they got. He got it off Bradish, so at least he got it off the starter. But then the bullpen shut down the Yankees as well. And even more embarrassing, Rayleigh comes in with an ERA close to 9 and shuts down the Yankees. They just, again, we spoke about this after Monday's game. There's no adjusting when a pitcher is throwing a certain way and they're just swinging and swinging and swinging. And a breaking ball's coming because Bradish's breaking ball was working. Really, the curveball was incredible. And they just, I don't understand how you don't make adjustments in the midst of a game. Because I thought maybe, okay, first time through the lineup, sometimes they just need some time to warm up. Yeah. And then it was a whole lot of nothing after that. And the other issue is, sure, they won that middle game. They scored 6 runs early in that game. But the rest of that game, the offense wasn't really doing much of anything. And they kind of went back into that pattern, and it carried over into Wednesday into a I'm going to keep saying this, 1-hit performance in a game that you needed to win because you're ruining this road trip is done. Like, it's over.
It's over.
Like, you can't salvage it right now. It is absolutely awful.
You get distracted by heading into a Mets series, but the road trip is awful. I mean, you get swept by Milwaukee. You get walked off twice in that series. Then you go to try and fix the offense. You go face one of the worst defensive teams in all of baseball, and you look like one of the worst teams in all of baseball. I mean, that's how bad they've looked in this entire series. Yes. It's really pathetic. Yeah. Again, you score 6 runs and you're right. It's 2 hot innings in those 6 runs, but it's 2 innings of solid play of getting the run score up, and then you just completely. It's not like those 6 runs are spread across multiple innings of play.
No.
Where they look good on offense and they've got runners in scoring position the entire time, and they don't get a lot of them in, but they still manage to get 6 across. It's 2 solid innings, and that's about it. Which again doesn't show great progress. And this to me does feel like they're falling into a bit of a swoon or a comfortability.
It's too early for the Boone swoon. We said
Well,
this in
no.
April when they went through the Boone swoon, but now this feels like a Boone swoon because it has all the hallmarks of a Boone swoon.
Well, and that's the thing too. To me, they do this a lot too, coming off of playing really well. And generally, when the June swoons happen with Aaron Boone, it's because they got off to an incredibly hot start in the first 2 months, and then the team kind of just gets comfortable. And there's no motivation, there's no fight, there's no purpose in the season because, hey, we're up 20 games, we feel comfortable. And it feels like what happened in the last 2 weeks, which again is not an excuse because the Rays are right up your tail. But if what feels like it's happened in the last 2 weeks is, oh, we played great the last couple of weeks now. Now we're one of the better records in the American League. And all that talk that we do on the show of how they have the best record of the American League and the rest of the American League's not competitive and they're going to have an easy walk to the World Series and all this kind of stuff that we can say. They hear that kind of stuff. Not particularly from us, but they hear it on radio stations. They hear it on television. Like whenever an athlete in the modern day tells you that they don't listen or hear from modern day sportscasters, they 1,000,000% are lying to you.
Oh, yeah, of course. They hear everything.
The Yes Network is on the Yankee clubhouse 24/7 whenever they walk in. So they hear all of this stuff. And that it feels like they hear that stuff, and Aaron Boone hears that stuff, and the level of complacency and comfortability that he has rubs off on the team, and they start to perform that way. So the series is tied 1-1 with the Orioles, and we have Max Fried on the mound. We're going to get an easy win here. We're one of the best teams in the American League. We're fine here. And then they show up and look lifeless. Then they show up and don't perform. They think, oh, we have an off day on Thursday. We're playing the lowly Mets over the weekend. This is great. Put your feet up and have a good one. Max Fried to the mound will be fine. And that's the way they performed. And that reflects directly on the manager of the team. It does, Stacey.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that more in segment 2, but let's get to Fried.
Yeah.
He left the game with left elbow posterior soreness. So basically there. So at first, of course, everything, I joked that I wanted to walk into traffic. I did not. I don't leave my house, so I wasn't going to do that anyway. Boone said that he did feel soreness between starts, but he thought it was just general soreness. There was nothing to be alarmed about. And there was nothing prior to his last start. I know during his last start, he was looking at his fingers a bit. So when they did take him out of the game, people were thinking blister issue. Yep. No one expected elbow issue. So when that news came out, everyone freaked out. Rightly so, because the Yankees have not had good elbow luck when it comes to pitchers the last couple of seasons.
No, they
haven't. They spoke to Boone first. He said that he knew Fried was off after the third, so he took him out. They decided, let's just nip this in the bud because something is clearly not right. He said he wasn't that concerned while he was talking to Fried because Fried didn't seem too concerned. And then when Fried spoke to the media, he told them where it was. He said it was uncomfortable and tight right where the triceps meets the elbow. He said it was hard to warm up, that it took him a while to get his velocity up. And you'd notice that while he was pitching because he was not getting the first guys in the inning out, walking people. He only threw 34 strikes out of 61 pitches. Out of 13 batters, he went to a 3-ball count 5 times, which is pretty uncharacteristic for him. And he just said that, he'd throw his first pitch and the velocity would be really low. And it just took a while for him to warm up. He also said that he feels like it's a sooner rather than later recovery. He doesn't see it as a long-term thing, but he also added, you never know. So they're getting the imaging done later today with Dr. Christopher Ahmad in the city. And he also said that it feels more like a hyperextension and that the area is just irritated. And then he also added that the area is pissed off. Those were his words, not mine. Again, he said he was fine in his other starts. This is the only start where he had this particular issue.
Yeah, I have no choice but to believe him. However, I will sit here and be skeptical of all those things because whenever you hear elbow, that's never good. And when you match the elbow up with I'm going to use air quotes here, but the symptoms involving what happened with the elbow here, it never leads to good news. The key to massive elbow injuries is lowering velocity and lack of command. And both of those match the description in his game against Baltimore. He had no command in this game, which, again, like you said, very uncharacteristic of Max Fried. He's known for having impeccable location. And the velocity being as low as it was. This is also a string of 3 straight starts, Stacey, where he has just not looked comfortable and not been himself. Remember, the start against Texas, he goes 6 innings of 4 hit ball, no earned. But we came on after that game and kind of said something's off with him. He had 2 walks in that game. And really throughout that entire game, something did look really off with him. Then you go to the last Baltimore game, right? That this is the game they won. They scored a lot of runs in and everything like that. But still, he goes 5 1/3 of 3 runs. He kind of really battled through that start. Didn't look great in that game. Then the Milwaukee game where he gives up 6 over 6 innings and looked terrible in that game. Like, a pattern of him looking this bad is also uncommon. Now, I know last year he finished 3rd in the Cy Young voting, so that's obviously, he's one of the better pitchers in baseball, so it's rare that those kind of guys have 3 straight bad starts like this. But I don't know. I know you want to speak positively. Not you. I know the Yankees and Max Fried want to speak positively, and you don't want to kind of, put bad things into the universe when it comes to things like this because you're kind of crossing your fingers. But
yeah,
I don't like the way. Call me a pessimist. I don't like the way this stuff sounds, and the things that kind of line up here don't usually lead to good news.
Yeah. So all that talk about who's going to be the 5th starter.
Might have figured itself out.
It's good that the Yankees have all these pitchers, huh?
Yeah. Might have figured itself out like the way it did. Let me talk about something late in the game really quick that, I don't know if people really were watching at this point because why would you be? Anthony Volpe makes his return to the lineup and at shortstop makes a pretty bad error. A ball hit right at him that he squared up and got right under and booted it. Safe as that. Like that's as simple as I could say. He just booted the ball. Yeah. I don't know how deep you want to go into that. I don't know how much you want to really break that down and analyze it, but I'm sorry. Between the lack of confidence the organization showed him, Aaron Boone particularly publicly showed him, this doesn't seem like a guy that's walking around exactly with a lot of confidence right now. This is not a player that's walking around with his chest out by any means. So
no,
I don't know. I don't know if you have much to say about Anthony Volpe. It is 1 game. He didn't get a hit, but no one on the roster did other than Jazz. I don't think there's much to say after game 1, but I think it is worth noting that he had a really, really bad error late in this game.
Yeah. All right, coming up, there's a certain hallmark of Aaron Boone-led Yankee teams, and it's not a positive thing, and we're going to get into it next.
If you've ever opened your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? You're not alone. Keep track of subscription spending and bills can get pretty overwhelming fast. And that's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of all your finances in one place. It tracks all of your subscriptions in one spot and can help cancel the ones you don't need with just a few taps. It also automatically categorizes your spending so you can actually see where your money is going, and you can set budgets, get alerts, and stay on top of upcoming bills. It just makes everything feel a bit more organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances from day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. We want to thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Don't forget to check out the Everydayer Club for ad-free episodes and access to the group chat with Stacey and other listeners of the show. Tap the link in the show notes or head over to lockedonyankees.supercast.com. Stacey, we mentioned this a little bit in segment 1, but I want to expand on it a little bit. The fact that this looks like a swoon and the lifelessness that they've had in the last, week and a half at this point, or week, that's what concerns me. And over the last couple of seasons, the Boone swoon generally is followed by them playing exceptional baseball and being, one of the better teams in the entire league and having one of the better records in the league and all that kind of stuff. And to me, the only explanation that I've really been able to offer to those kind of things is the lack of push that the manager gives them. Is the way a team plays, the way a team acts, the way a team speaks about themselves, the way all that revolves is basically feeding off of what the manager gives and what the manager portrays. If a team is playing really tight and really tense and really nervous and really understands the seriousness of every moment, they're going to show that, and their manager is going to be like that. Hence, Joe Girardi led teams where he was a very tense dude, and every scorebook was the biggest thing to him, and you could see the team played that way. It's part of the reason why the Yankees moved on from him. If a team treats every single game like Game 7 of the World Series and thinks you need to push to win every single game and as many games as possible, they're going to play like a Joe Torre-led team. Hence the 98 Yankees winning 100 and bajillion games because every game was super important to that team, the way they were led, the way they were managed. The New York Yankees, led by Aaron Boone, play very comfortable, very complacent, and dare I say, they play like a team that has already won multiple championships. That's the confidence the New York Yankees under Aaron Boone walk around with, and they have zero right to walk around with that confidence. They are the New York Yankees, sure, with 27 championships. None of these players in this current roster have contributed to a single one of those titles. The only thing that those guys have won is one singular AL pennant. That is it. It's plain and simple. That's it. They got a bunch of wild card series victories. That's it. This manager, because the team has consistently won 90 plus games and won 100 games a few times and won a couple divisions and won a pennant, walks around like, hey, this is the New York Yankees. They dominate everybody. They beat everybody. Our expectation is championships here. And that stuff feeds off on the roster. That level of complacency feeds off on the roster. And that kind of stuff, Stacey, leads to not taking the Baltimore Orioles seriously because they stink. That leads to a couple of years ago, not taking the New York Mets seriously in a series because they're the Mets. The Mets stink. That leads to having situations in seasons where you play 3 weeks of horrendous baseball because, hey, we got off to a great start. And do you hear them talking about us on Baseball Tonight or whatever show you want to call it? Look at how good we are. Our record is so good. We're the best team in the American League. We're favorites to go to the World Series. All of these things. That leads to a roster playing that way. Instead of those things just being noise on the outside and treating this game, this particular game, whether it's on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever day you want to call it, as the most important game of the season, instead, it's treated with complacency. It's treated with, we're the New York Yankees. And even if we don't have a game plan today, even if we're going to abandon the game plan, even if we're going to stick to the game plan, whatever we're going to do, we'll figure it out because we're the Yankees, 27 championships. We've won a ton. We have we have the best record in baseball. That is how this team plays. And even if the roster feels that way, Stacey, even if that's the way that all these players feel, and that's the way that all of them are, they're human, that's fine. It's the manager's job. And the guy who is the manager is given that position that is such a highly touted position because it's his job to keep them at bay and to keep them pushing and to keep those thoughts out of the players' heads. And this manager feeds into those thoughts. He doesn't take them away.
Do you think that it's possible that it's not them thinking we're the Yankees, we can get away with this? It's him being like, the season's 162 games. We're going to go through some low spots. This happens to everyone, like that sort of thing. Because I don't see these guys.
That's definitely said in the clubhouse as well. You know? That's definitely said in the clubhouse as well, Stacey. And we know that for a fact because there are multitude of occasions in the past couple of years where players have reiterated that. Hey, where do you think they're getting that from?
Oh, yeah.
Like that's my thought. Like, that's not stuff that they're just pulling out of thin air. That comes from somewhere.
Well, during last year's Boone swoon, which they kept saying was 2 weeks when it was really like 6.5, almost 7 weeks of them not playing well. Like these aren't like small swoons. Like teams, the Dodgers will go through a bad 2 week, almost 3 week period. The Yankees under Boone like to go under 6 weeks of swooning through because, as you said, they'll start off that year where they started off with like, wow, they're close to the 98 Yankees because they were like 71 and 20 something, whatever the start was. Did you see the 1998 Yankees take their foot off the gas at any point? Only after they won the division in early September. And even then, Joe Torre's like, what do you guys think? We're going to hit a switch in the playoffs? You guys got to start winning some games here. You can't just back your way into the playoffs. You know?
By the way, that team already had won a World Series.
Right.
That 98 team had won a World Series 2 years prior. And you know, we've talked about the little mini swoon they had in 2000, right? In September of 2000, before getting into the postseason.
They finished with 87 wins in 2000. An 87-win team won the World Series in 2000 because they had a bunch of the guys from 96, 98, 99 still on that roster. Of course, they had new guys that they acquired during the trade deadline and other guys that they acquired during the offseason. But the core of that team knew what they were doing in the playoffs and knew how to win.
And
this team does not know how to make it through the playoffs and win. They know how to get humiliated in the playoffs, But they don't know how to go all the way through and finish the job that you're setting out to do at the beginning of the season when you are the New York Yankees. And when is this happening? Only under Boone. Because we're 2017, the Girardi's last year, they make it to the 7th game of the ALCS, completely unexpected. Didn't know the team they were playing against was cheating, but it was a great year. You thought, okay, this is the start of something. This is going to be really great. Like, here we go.
Yep.
And since then, 2018, possibly cheating happening in the division series with the Red Sox, with the way they were hitting, and then they go on to win the World Series, and the Yankees are kind of humiliated at home, especially, 14-1 that one game.
Yep.
2019, they make it to the ALCS again, and you're thinking, okay, this is a better pattern. Like, I mean, it's not great losing in the ALCS, but here we go. And then it just gets progressively worse. They finally make a World Series in 2024. Completely humiliated with a horrible pitching decision in game 1 that changes the series completely, because if the Yankees win game 1, that's a completely different series. It doesn't go the way that it did. And then game 5, they're out to this large lead at home. Humiliation.
Yeah.
In that 5th inning. Complete humiliate. You don't see Joe Torre teams doing that. You didn't even see Joe Girardi teams doing that. Even the ones that didn't make the playoffs still played better than that team in 2024 did in that game 5 in the World Series. And
we
what's
came
the
on,
common denominator? Aaron Boone.
We came on after that game 5 in the World Series, which is a perfect microcosm for what has gone on throughout Aaron Boone's entire tenure. We came on after that game 5 of the World Series and sat here saying they had packed their bags to Los Angeles already.
Right.
That's what they had considered that game
like,
1.
We're up 5-0. Who cares?
Exactly. And the game, and that's exactly how this team operates.
Foot on the gas, your foot on their throat. You cannot relent. You can't let it up. And this team always does under this manager. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me that this man still has a job, especially even after 2022. You get swept in the ALCS. You look absolutely horrible, and you're embarrassed out of the ALCS, and nothing happens. You get an extension.
Here's the thing too with that, Stacey, because I'm glad you bring it up. This is almost a decade of this manager at this point. And I know the Yankees want to group themselves into the model franchises in sports that don't change their coaches very often. The Pittsburgh Steelers and, the Yankees are certainly one of those teams. They want to be in that group of franchises that doesn't change their manager often. But those teams also have a very big thing in common with winning. They all win, and they don't just win. They win championships. The expectation is championships. What has this manager won? Like, the manager walks around, the team walks around, the organization walks around like they're skipping around every couple of years winning a World Series.
Yeah.
He's been to one. He's been to one World Series, Stacey.
And he showed everyone how he manages in that World Series. On the world stage in front of everyone, he proved to people that he can't manage this team to a World Series.
Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff that should drive you insane. One more thing on that 2000 run, because it is a famous, swoon they went through with Joe Torre. Not saying that it was acceptable, but for that team to go through a swoon, that team is coming off of 3 championships in the last 4 seasons.
Yeah.
I'd accept these swoons a lot more if the Yankees were coming off 3 titles in the last 4 years.
But it's
not saying I wouldn't complain about it.
But it's every year. It's every year. It's every single season. 99, they didn't have a swoon. 98, the swoon only happened again after they won the division, and they kind of were just like, all right, well, we won. So, like, what are we even playing for right now? But yeah, no, this is like an every year thing for the past like 5 or 6 seasons now. And it's just enough.
Not realizing a pattern when you're, management's sake or ownership's sake. That's the pathetic part at this point.
Yep. All right. Well, coming up, we're going to preview the pitching matchups in the Mets series, which begins on Friday night. It should be an interesting one.
The NBA playoffs are here and every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right. You can turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. Now, I love using FanDuel during the playoffs because everything I need is right there in one place. You can check stats, trends, matchups before making your picks, which makes the whole experience feel a lot more informed. Whether you're looking at player props or just following your favorite stars, It adds a complete other level of excitement to every single game. It's also a really easy app to navigate. It makes playoff basketball even more engaging from start to finish. So head over to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. All right, so the Yankees head into the Subway Series on Friday. They get the day off on Thursday, where they can lick their wounds, I guess, and pray for good news on Max Fried. And that is where they're at. So Friday they head to Citi Field. They are still technically on their road trip, even though they're going back to their own homes and sleeping in their own beds and all that kind of stuff. Friday's game will be on Apple TV, and it'll be Cam Schlitt. They're getting the start. He's 5-1 with a 1.35 ERA. Every start that he makes, his ERA gets lower and lower.
Yeah.
His bad
he may
starts
not be striking out 10 a game, but his ERA keeps getting lower.
No, it's funny. He actually entered the season striking out a lot of guys, and then that's dipped off, I guess, because, like every player, a book gets out on the guy. Right. And teams realize his tendencies and how he tries to get them out, and then they adjust to that. So now it's up to Cam Schlitt to make adjustments. But he still does get outs. He still does not allow runners to score. So that is a positive. 5-1 with a 1.35 is absolutely insane. Go under the hood of some of his other stats. They're incredible. His whip is electric. His strikeout numbers still are really good. He's just dominating teams left and right. He'll go up against Clay Holmes, who's actually had a really good season as a starter. He doesn't give the Mets a lot of length, but he has been terrific for them, and I expect him to be terrific against the Yankees. He's 4-3 with a 1.86 ERA. Who does that sound a lot like? Jacob deGrom with the New York Mets.
Oh yeah,
4-3 with a 1.86. Just crazy.
Yeah, if Clay Holmes has those certain pitches that drop working, the Yankees are going to be swinging through them and just looking ridiculous. So if he's on, the Yankees are in for a world of trouble for the 4 innings that he pitches.
Yeah. Yankees 10 games over 500 at this point in the season, 27-17. This is being recorded on Wednesday night for us, so the Mets are still waiting to play the Detroit Tigers in New York, but their record is very similar to the Yankees, just reversed. The New York Mets are currently 16-25 as we record. If they lose to the Tigers, they'll be 16-16 heading into the game against 16-26.
They are playing better this past week than the Yankees are. Like if you look at the Mets' last 10 games, it's a better record than the Yankees' last 10 games. If this series was being played last weekend, it would be a completely different story about two different teams heading into the series. But now it seems like the Yankees are on the downswing of the roller coaster and the Mets are kind of heading up a bit. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, you also look out for Mets top second overall prospect. He will be performing in this game too. His last name is Ewing. So New York sports fans are kind of all over that one, especially with the Knicks in their playoff run. Should be a lot of fun. Saturday's game at 7:15 p.m. So we're gonna get a Saturday night game. Much to Stacey's delight, the game will be on Fox. You can see by the expression on her face, she's very much looking forward to this game being. I can
see because I'm hosting the postcast. Make sure you watch the postcast after every game. But because I'm watching the postcast, I'm like really like paying attention to every single thing and I'm listening to every single thing. You can kind of get away with missing some stuff because I have you to bounce things off of on this show. But when I'm by myself, I really have. So now I'm going to have to listen to John Smoltz on Saturday. So I'm not happy. No.
She's going to be in a chipper mood. Thank God we don't record on Saturday night, so I won't have to deal with Stacey on Saturday.
You won't have to deal with it, but anyone watching the postcast will have to deal with my reaction to John Smoltz.
Yeah, and hey, when you get done with the postcast that night, if you stay up for the West Coast games, tune into Locked On MLB Game Night, where you'll see me hosting that one. Carlos Rodon gets a second start of the year. 0-0 with a 6.23. We're not going to really focus on those numbers, though, because it's one start. We went 4 1/3 of 2 hit ball of 4 strikeouts and 5 walks. So didn't feel good in that original start for him. Didn't really have command. So we're going to see what he's able to do against this New York Mets team that often doesn't hit very much at all. The Mets are trotting out undecided in that game. He's been terrific. So
he has. Yankees have a problem against undecided this season.
There's a lot of truth in that, which is sad. Ryan Weathers will get the start on Sunday. That's coming off of a terrific start for him following losing 9 pounds. A trim Ryan Weathers. That game will be at 1:40 on Sunday afternoon. that game's a yes game actually. So you get back to regular T. That's the only yes game of this series.
Yeah.
By the way.
Apple on Friday, Fox on Saturday. I was afraid it was going to be an ESPN game, and I was very relieved when I saw it was a yes game and that it was in the afternoon and not at night. So,
boy, Michael K must be joyous about that, right? Like he doesn't have to work till Sunday. He's off the next 3 days.
But doesn't he like doing Subway Series?
I feel like he would, but still, I mean, he gets all this free off time, right? He gets off on off on Thursday, off on Friday, off on Saturday, and then he works some time. It's not a bad.
Well, he might, you never know, because they're going to do probably pre and post game on yes for the two games, the one on Apple, one on Fox. So maybe he'll be in the studio because he sometimes is.
Yeah, we'll see. Ryan Weathers 2-2, now an ERA down to exactly 3. Stacey's gonna love this. Look at the evenness in all of his numbers. So Ryan Weathers,
I brought this up on the postcast.
Yeah, let's just bring it up so our fans can look at this. Ready? 2-2 with exactly on the dot 3 ERA, a 1.11 WHIP, 45 even innings pitched on the season. That must make you feel pretty good, right?
Well, you know what else makes me feel good? His opponent, Freddie Peralta, is 3-3 with a 3.10 ERA. So you go 1 up on the win and loss, and then you go 10th up in the ERA. So that's kind of cool.
Also, it goes even further than that. Ryan Weathers with a 1.11 WHIP. Freddie Peralta 1.22 WHIP. So
love it.
Everything pretty even and dialed in there for Stacey.
Everything's coming up roses. My middle name is Rose, so everything's coming up roses for me on that one.
Freddie Peralta's looked pretty good this year, but his name's around a lot in potential trade pieces for the New York Mets of guys they're going to get rid of and move around and stuff because if they fall out of things, he'll be a big trade chip. So yeah, interesting series for them against the Mets. They're not going into it playing well. Hopefully they can get up for these series. You think they would? Because they don't have an easy homestand following this series. They got 4 against the Blue Jays, and the next weekend they have 3 against the Rays. So
yeah, I mean, and the Rays are not slowing down. The Blue Jays ran into the Rays, so the Blue Jays are probably looking forward to playing the Yankees with the way the Yankees have been playing lately. So yeah, this could go south really quickly. We could be here a week from today thinking, are they going to win another game?
Yeah. Again, not good. You'd think at some point in the next couple of weeks they're gonna get Garrett Cole back. So that is a big bump to get in your rotation. But yeah, like you said, they gotta figure things out.
Yeah.
Because the team's just not played well lately, and there's a run of teams coming here that are gonna be licking their chops looking for the Yankees coming.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to today's Locked On Yankees. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Yankees so you get all the latest episodes. You can follow us on Instagram at Locked On Yankees, all one word, TikTok Locked On _Yankees. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. You get ad-free Locked On Yankees episodes, members-only Discord access, and more. Join now at lockedonyankees.supercast.com. If you're watching on YouTube, head over to the first ever 24/7 Locked On Podcast Network channel. If you're listening on audio, make Locked On MLB your second listen of the day. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.